Hello everyone, Mark here. And for today, I want to show you a little bit more about past perfect. If you haven't studied past perfect before, we have done a video explaining the past perfect grammar. Please go there, go to ULC Past Perfect before you watch this video, because this video doesn't tell you about the grammar itself. It doesn't give you many examples or the reasons for why we use this grammar. So that one, again, go to our other video. I'll comment, or in the description below, I will write the about the video for past perfect. But for us today, we're doing pronunciation. So pronunciation, right? The sounds of English, right? And being able to hear and understand the sounds of English. So here's a past perfect sentence. Right? Look closely. Before I came to Singapore, I'd lived in Japan. I'd lived in Japan. So right here, we have our D, which is short for HAD, right? We call that in English a contraction. This is a contraction for had. So if you've studied the past perfect, you know we need to use had and a past participle. In class, I say PP. Had plus a PP, right? This one, very fast. We say had lived, I'd lived, right? Had PP, I'd lived. So be very careful. Listen for the D. I lived, I'd lived. I worked, I'd worked. Okay? You have to listen very closely for the D. That small addition, that small add of the D sound will change the grammar. I lived, I'd lived. Okay, the other one you have to be careful about is when we have the word had, right? Sometimes we write it out like this. And when we do this, before he came to Singapore, Mark had lived in Japan. Now I'll do that quickly. Before he came to Singapore, Mark had lived in Japan. Before he came to Singapore, Mark had lived in Japan. Did you hear this word? Before he came to Singapore, Mark had lived in Japan. Before he came to Singapore, Mark had lived in Japan. Whenever I say had, when I'm speaking native English, when I'm speaking quickly, speaking with my family, speaking with my friends, I don't say Mark had lived in Singapore or Mark had lived in Japan. The had, I shorten, I make it easier to say. Because when we speak English, making the h sound makes our mouth move like this. Mark had lived. Mark had lived. My mouth has to open for me to make that sound. So it's actually too slow. Mark had lived in Japan. To speed up this sound, I don't say the H. So you see this H? I remove the H when I'm speaking. Writing, you always have to write the H. But when I'm speaking, I will say it very quickly. I won't make the h. I won't make the H sound. So one more time. Before he came to Singapore, Mark had lived. Mark had lived in Japan. So that's that sound. I really want you guys to make sure you listen closely. Listen for the Mark had, he had, he'd. We have to hear that D sound, but the H sound we don't hear when we're speaking again, when we're speaking fluently, natively in English. So, as always, guys, if you can use this past perfect grammar, I'd love you to comment below. Tell me about your life before I moved to my country. I had been working somewhere else for 5 years. Before I had lunch today, I had already done my homework. Before eating lunch, I had already done my homework. So give it a try, have fun. We'll see you next time. Keep speaking English.